Human soldier accidentally impregnates alien princess. The battlefield had been quiet for hours, though Marcus Hale knew better than to trust silence. War between humans and Elendrins was never truly still. It pulsed in the air. It flickered in the scorched metal of ruined dropships. It hummed in the cracked earth, where plasma had scorched black veins. He adjusted his rifle, its barrel half melted from overuse, and muttered to himself that he should have asked for a desk job back at base. Paperwork didn't explode. The others from his squad were gone, scattered in retreat when the Elendrin counterstrike had surged. He'd run, stumbled, crawled, and finally ended up in a part of the city no map had ever shown him. Here, towers gleamed like liquid glass, curving upward as though grown, not built. Strange light pulsed through them like veins carrying luminescent blood, and Marcus, bruised and filthy, felt about as welcome as a cockroach in a chandelier showroom. He tried his calm again. Static. Typical. Fantastic. Stranded behind enemy lines in the fanciest neighborhood I've ever seen. If I die, at least I'll haunt the rich. His voice bounced hollow off the curved walls, and he winced. Maybe keeping quiet would be better. The palace revealed itself slowly, as though waiting for him to notice. Archways stretched high above, sculpted with crystalline panels that hummed faintly, and gardens spilled across terraces, glowing with plants that looked like stars tangled in vines. Marcus stared in spite of himself. His entire paycheck for the next 20 years wouldn't buy one hedge from this place. He took a cautious step, then another. And then he heard her voice. It wasn't the commanding bark of soldiers, or the clipped tones of the council, but something softer. He froze, pressing himself against a column, gripping his rifle. Through a gap in the glowing foliage, he saw her, a woman standing at the edge of a pool that shimmered with liquid light. She wore flowing fabric that caught the starlight and turned it into silver flames, and her hair, long, pale, and unbound, spilled past her shoulders like falling frost. She could have been human, almost, but the years gave her away. Long, curved elegantly backward, tapering to fine points. They marked her unmistakably Elendrin. Marcus had seen enemies in armor, enemies screaming battle cries, enemies firing plasma until the air itself screamed. He had never seen one like this, quiet, contemplative, unarmed. She trailed her fingers across the glowing water, humming something that resonated faintly in his chest. He cursed under his breath. He should leave. Retreat, regroup, not creep on what was obviously some kind of royal figure. Instead, he took a step closer, and of course, a twig cracked beneath his boot. Her head snapped up. Their eyes met. Marcus raised his free hand and blurted the first words that came to his mind. "Ahai. Please don't vaporize me." The princess, because of course she was a princess, his luck was that bad, blinked at him. Slowly, she tilted her head. "You are human." Her accent wrapped around the word strangely, like she was trying it on for size. "Last time I checked." He lowered his rifle awkwardly. "Don't suppose you'd let me pretend I was never here?" She stepped closer, curiosity outweighing caution. "You are lost." Lost is one way to put it. Stranded, abandoned, possibly about to be turned into decorative wall art. Pick your favorite. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. It startled him more than a gun barrel would have. "You are amusing." "Well, if comedy saves my skin, I'll sign up for a tour." Humans laugh, you know. Sometimes in the face of death. Sometimes when chairs squeak too loud. It's a survival thing. She studied him like he was an odd insect. "You should not be here. These grounds are forbidden to your kind. Trust me, it's not on my vacation itinerary either." He glanced around at the glowing vines and elegant spires. "Though, credit where it's due. Your palace is a lot cleaner than our barracks. Fewer rats. More glowing shrubbery. 10 out of 10 for presentation." Her laugh, soft but genuine, made him blink again. Elendrin royalty laughing at him? He half expected someone to leap from the shadows, yelling gotcha. But no one came. Only her, with moonlight caught in her hair and long ears, catching every sound. "What is your name?" she asked at last. "Captain Marcus Hale. Though my squad usually just calls me Hayu." She considered this. "I am Elira." He gave a crooked grin. "Figures. The one time I sneak where I'm not supposed to. I trip over royalty. Story of my life." Royalty, she echoed, frowning slightly, as though the word itself was too small. Yes, princess, if you insist. Oh, fantastic, he groaned. I've officially committed treason, cultural blasphemy, and breaking and entering in one night. My mom would be proud. Lyra's eyes gleamed. Perhaps I will not report you, if you continue to amuse me. Marcus sighed, shouldering his useless rifle. Great. From soldier to court jester in under 5 minutes. That's a career record. She smiled again, and for the first time since the war had begun, Marcus forgot about the weight of orders, the screams of battle, the smell of charred metal. For one ridiculous moment, standing in forbidden gardens with an alien princess, he felt like the universe had paused to laugh with him. And that, he thought grimly, was probably going to get him killed. Marcus woke with a start, nearly rolling off the curved bench he'd been told was a resting platform. To him, it was a glorified slab of crystal, the sort of thing a human chiropractor would charge double for. His back cracked like dry twigs as he sat up. The room around him pulsed faintly, walls breathing with slow waves of light. He still wasn't used to Elendran architecture. Everything seemed alive. Even the ceiling sighed when he sneezed the night before. He rubbed his eyes and muttered, "Pretty sure the furniture is judging me." From the far side of the chamber, Lyra's voice carried, smooth and amused. "You snore." "I don't snore," Marcus protested, running a hand over his stubble. "You do," she said simply, gliding across the floor. "Like a malfunctioning grav engine. It is loud, erratic, and at times almost tragic." "Great," Marcus groaned. "If anyone in the palace didn't know I was here, they definitely do now. Thanks for comparing me to faulty machinery." She tilted her head, long ears catching the light. "It is not an insult. Some grav engines are dependable, when they are not exploding." "That's very comforting." He pulled his boots back on, glaring at the way the Elendran straps tightened themselves without his help. "I'm just saying, human sleep is complicated. If you're judging my snoring, I'd like to hear what noises you make when you're unconscious." Her lips curved. "Elendrans do not snore." "Of course you don't. Perfect alien royalty. Probably sparkle when you dream too." She said nothing, though her shoulders trembled with suppressed laughter. The humor was welcome, but reality clawed at Marcus the moment silence returned. He was still here, in the heart of enemy territory, the personal guest, or prisoner, of an alien princess. His commanding officers would hang him if they knew. Her people might do worse. Yet here he was, drinking water that glowed faintly blue, and eating fruit that pulsed like it had a heartbeat. Lyra settled onto a low seat near him, watching as he struggled with the translucent rind of the breakfast she'd offered. "You peel it the wrong way." "I'm peeling it the human way." He bit into it, made a face as glowing juice sprayed across his chin, and muttered, "Delicious. Love the taste of battery acid." She laughed openly this time. "You exaggerate. That fruit sustains warriors for days." "Yeah, it's gonna sustain me straight into a stomach ulcer." She leaned closer, curiosity replacing humor. "You are afraid." He stiffened, but covered it quickly with a crooked grin. "Afraid? Nah. Terrified, sure, but not afraid." "You joke often when you are uncertain." "That's because if I stop joking, I start thinking. And if I start thinking, I realize I'm sitting in a palace where one wrong move means I end up a smear on the floor." Her gaze softened. "No harm will come to you. I promise." Marcus shook his head. "You're forgetting the little detail where I'm supposed to be your enemy. Last I checked, enemies don't get the luxury suite." "You are not my enemy," she said firmly. "The war is between councils, between armies, not between you and me." He studied her, suspicious. "You really believe that?" "Yes." She hesitated, then added, "When I first saw you, I thought perhaps you were meant to be here." "Meant to be?" He snorted. "Princess, I got lost, tripped over my own boots, and stumbled into your backyard. If that's fate, the universe has a sixth sense of humor." She smiled again, but there was something more serious in her eyes. He looked away before it sank too deep. They were interrupted by a sharp chime echoing through the walls. Lyra stiffened. The council summons me. Marcus tensed. Council? As in your government? Do they know I'm here? They suspect nothing, she assured quickly. You must remain hidden. If they discover you, I cannot protect you. Wonderful. So I'm your dirty little secret now. Every soldier dreams of this, sneaking around a palace like some forbidden pet. She gave him a sharp look. You are not a pet. Good, because I don't do tricks. He sighed, glancing toward the glowing curtains, where guards' shadows moved faintly beyond. Guess I'll just sit here and not breathe too loud. Her fingers brushed his arm briefly, almost absent-minded. You will be safe. Trust me. The warmth of her touch lingered long after she left the chamber. Marcus leaned back, staring at the ceiling that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. He muttered to himself. Safe, she says. Sure, hiding in the alien princess's bedroom. What could possibly go wrong? The ceiling sighed again, as if agreeing. He rubbed his face, half laughing, half panicked. I've survived firefights, orbital bombardments, and ration stew. But this is how I'm gonna die. Not from plasma fire, from awkward small talk and glowing fruit. He lay back on the crystal slab, covering his eyes with his arm. The war outside raged on, soldiers clashing in blood and light. But here, in this strange chamber, with laughter still echoing faintly in the air, Marcus found himself teetering on a dangerous edge. Because for the first time, the thought struck him like a shot. Maybe he didn't want to leave. Marcus crouched behind what he was pretty sure was a decorative fountain, though it hummed suspiciously, like it might also be a defense turret. From his vantage point, he could see 3 counselors sweeping through the hall with Lyra at the center, their robes shimmering like shifting galaxies. He held his breath and muttered, Yep, this is how I go out, vaporized while hiding behind a singing birdbath. The voices echoed, clipped and formal, every word carrying the weight of politics Marcus could barely understand. They spoke of border skirmishes, demands for retaliation, sacrifices to protect Elindra's honor. Lyra's voice broke through, calm but firm, arguing for restraint. He caught snippets. Cycles of war, meaningless losses, there must be another way. He nearly smiled. She sounded more like him than like them. Then a counselor gestured toward the very hallway he was in, and Marcus had to stifle a sneeze as shimmering robes brushed close. If anyone leaned an inch too far, they'd find one very confused human clutching his rifle like a teddy bear. The group moved on at last, and Marcus exhaled so hard he almost toppled into the glowing fountain. He muttered, Note to self, invest in stealth training. Maybe some kind of invisibility cloak, or duct tape for my nose. He slipped out only after the chamber quieted, pacing the curved corridor until Lyra returned. She found him halfway through trying to open a sealed door with sheer stubbornness. You should not be wandering, she said. Good advice, princess. Shame I was never good at following orders. He pointed at the sealed panel. What's in here? Treasure vault? Royal snack stash. Her lips quirked. That is a stasis archive. It holds records older than your species' first flight, from your homeworld. He dropped his hands immediately. Right, so not snacks. Not snacks, she agreed, amused. They walked together, the tension between them softened by his relentless sarcasm. Yet he could see the weight pressing on her. The council was pushing for escalation, and though she hadn't said it outright, Marcus knew his presence complicated everything. When they reached the gardens again, she finally stopped. If they discover you, I cannot shield you. The council will demand your execution. Comforting honesty, Marcus said, leaning against a crystalline arch. But let's be real. You could have handed me over the first night. Instead, you let me stay. Why? Lyra hesitated. Because you are unexpected. You do not speak like a soldier. You laugh when you should fear. You question when you should obey. It unsettles me. He smirked. I've been unsettling people since I was 6. My teachers hated it. You'll get used to it. She shook her head, long ears catching the glow of the vines. No, Marcus. I fear I will not. Before he could answer, alarms flared across the palace, deep, resonant tones that shook the ground. Lyra stiffened. Intrusion. Marcus instinctively raised his rifle. That's my language. Intrusion means trouble. They raced through the corridors, passing guards in ornate armor rushing toward the outer gates. From a balcony, Marcus saw flashes of light beyond the city walls, skirmishes, soldiers clashing in the distance. His gut twisted. His people were out there. Looks like your council's getting their war, he muttered. Lyra gripped the railing, voice sharp. They do not see what I see. They do not see the futility. Marcus glanced at her, then back at the chaos. You sound like you're ready to defect. Defect. She frowned at the foreign word. Jump sides. Pick a new team. Happens all the time in human wars. Usually ends with someone writing a very dramatic book. Her lips pressed into a line. If I speak against them openly, they will remove me. But if I stay silent, the cycle continues. Marcus gave a short laugh. Welcome to politics. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Meanwhile, soldiers like me are the ones catching plasma bolts to the face. The humor faded, leaving him staring at her. So what do we do, princess? Keep playing hide and seek until someone finds me. She met his gaze. No, we make them see. Not with words, with proof. Proof of what? That peace is possible, that the gulf between our kinds is not unbridgeable. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You mean me? I'm the proof. Yes. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. You are living evidence that the enemy is not a monster. He barked a laugh, running a hand through his hair. Princess, you clearly haven't seen me eat ration stew. Monster's about right. But even as he joked, he felt the truth sink into his bones. She wasn't wrong. He shouldn't be here, alive, laughing with her. And yet here they were. Footsteps thundered down the hall, drawing closer. Lyra grabbed his arm and pulled him back into the shadows of a garden alcove. Guards rushed past, shouting orders, unaware of the human soldier inches away. Marcus's heart pounded, but her hand on his wrist steadied him. When the danger passed, he whispered, one of these days, hiding behind plants isn't going to cut it. Her lips curved faintly. Then we must find something stronger than plants. He wanted to laugh, but the look in her eyes silenced him. Determined, defiant, and something else, something that made his chest tighten. For the first time, Marcus wondered if maybe this insane situation, being lost, captured, hidden, spared, wasn't an accident at all. And the idea terrified him more than any battle ever had. The summons came at dawn, carried by a guard who looked at Marcus like one might look at a rodent caught chewing through palace wiring. He was given an outfit instead of chains, which he figured was either a good sign or a creative method of humiliation. When he unfolded it, he groaned. Tell me this isn't what I think it is. Lyra's lips twitched. It is formal attire. Formal? This looks like a bathrobe got into a fight with a disco ball. And lost. You will wear it, she said, entirely too calm. He tugged the shimmering fabric over his head, muttering about cruel and unusual punishment. The robe clung to him, self-adjusting with glowing seams that pulsed like it was alive. Fantastic. I'm a human nightlight. Exactly what every soldier dreams of. When the council chamber doors opened, Marcus almost turned around. Dozens of Elendran officials sat in concentric tiers, their robes swirling with galaxies, their faces cold. He had faced enemy fire without blinking, but here he felt naked, despite the absurd outfit. Lyra walked beside him, tall and unshaken. Remember, she whispered, you are not a prisoner. You are my guest. Guest, he muttered. Feels more like dinner. And I'm the main course. The murmurs began the moment the counselors realized what he was. Voices rose, shock, anger, disbelief. Marcus lifted a hand awkwardly. Morning, everyone. Nice place you've got. Love what you've done with the acoustics. A counselor slammed a staff against the floor, the sound echoing like thunder. This is unacceptable. A human soldier within these halls is an act of desecration. Another leaned forward, eyes like knives. Explain, princess. Lyra's voice rang clear. He is not our enemy. He is proof that what you call other can stand beside us without bloodshed. The uproar nearly shook the chamber apart. Marcus shifted uncomfortably, whispering, "I think they like me." "Silence," one barked, glaring down at him. "Gladly," Marcus muttered. "Best idea I've heard all day." Accusations flew: treason, deception, weakness. The counselors demanded to know why the princess would harbor a human. Lyra stood tall, her long ears catching the light, and declared that the soldier's presence was a sign. Marcus leaned closer to her and whispered, "A sign of what?" "Bad decision-making." She didn't answer, which only made him sweat more. At last, the council leader raised his hand. "If this man remains, he must prove his worth. Let him face the trials of accord." Marcus's stomach dropped. "The trials of what now?" "They are ancient tests," Lyra explained quietly, "designed to show unity of spirit. But they are difficult." "Define difficult." "Few survive." "Oh, great. Love those odds." The first trial began immediately, in a chamber where gravity shifted like a drunken pendulum. Platforms hovered, pulsing with energy. Marcus staggered as the floor tilted, muttering, "I signed up for infantry, not gymnastics." Lyra leapt gracefully, her robes flowing like starlight. Marcus scrambled after her, arms pinwheeling. He nearly face-planted into a glowing panel, barely catching himself. "Totally meant to do that," he gasped, earning a startled laugh from her. By the second trial, he was sweating through the glowing fabric. They faced a chamber of illusions, visions designed to break resolve. Marcus saw his squad, broken and bleeding, accusing him of betrayal. He clenched his fists, muttering, "Not real. You guys wouldn't look that ugly even on a bad day." The illusion wavered and shattered. Lyra watched him closely. "Your humor shields you." "Lady, humor's the only armor I've got left." The final trial forced them into synchronization, standing within twin circles that pulsed with light. Energy coursed between them, reacting to every heartbeat. If they faltered, the chamber would collapse. Marcus, sweating and jittery, cracked, "So this is like alien couples therapy? Do I get a certificate at the end?" Lyra's fingers brushed his. "Trust me." He swallowed hard. "I do." The chamber pulsed, stabilizing. The council watched stunned, as human and Elendran stood together in harmony. When the light faded, they were still standing alive, hand in hand. The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Finally, one counselor muttered, "Impossible." Marcus cleared his throat. "Actually, very possible. Painful, terrifying, and humiliating, but possible." Lyra turned to the council. "You see, the old cycle is broken. Together we are stronger." Arguments erupted, but the seed was planted. Marcus, exhausted and sore, leaned toward her. "So, did we just win? Or did we just paint an even bigger target on my back?" "Both," she said softly. He groaned. "Figures." Yet as they walked out of the chamber, side by side, Marcus realized something strange. For the first time, he wasn't just a soldier stranded in enemy territory. He was part of something bigger, something insane, something that made his heart pound faster than any battle. And though he wouldn't admit it out loud, he almost liked it. The city burned with light and sound, alarms echoing through every spire as the rogue general's forces stormed the capital. Marcus sprinted through the palace corridors at Lyra's side, rifle in hand, heart hammering. "You know," he panted, "when I signed up for the army, I didn't think defend alien princess from her own people was in the contract. Nor did I expect protect human from execution to be in mine," Lyra replied, ears twitching as another blast rocked the walls. "Perfect," Marcus muttered. "We're both terrible at career planning." Guards clashed with rebels in the outer courtyards, plasma streaking across the sky. Marcus ducked as a blast tore through a column. "So what's the plan? Please don't say wing it." She glanced at him. "We wing it." "Of course," he groaned, charging after her. They burst into the throne chamber, where the king and council were cornered by soldiers in jagged armor. The rogue general stood at their head, voice booming. "The child you carry is an abomination. This union must end before it poisons our bloodline." Marcus, without thinking, yelled back, "Hey, I resent that. I'm at least a B+ grade human." Every head turned. For a moment, silence. Then chaos as the general roared, "Seize them!" Marcus fired into the ceiling, sparks raining down. Pro tip: never start a family argument with laser guns. He grabbed Elira's hand and pulled her toward the dais. "We need to flip this around. Show them you're not backing down." Elira stepped forward, voice rising above the noise. "This child is not weakness, it is hope. It is proof our people can survive without endless war." The general sneered. "You dare defile?" "Buddy," Marcus cut in, "you've got worse problems than me. Like how bad you look in that armor. Seriously, who designed it?" Evil Sheik. The Elendran soldiers hesitated, some stifling laughter despite themselves. The general roared and charged, blade raised. Marcus braced, certain this was the end, until Elira raised her hand. Light burst from her palm, a surge of ancient energy Marcus had only seen in whispers of their technology. It met the general head-on, sending him sprawling across the floor. Gasps filled the chamber. Marcus blinked. "Okay, remind me never to argue with you when you're angry." Elira didn't smile. "It is not anger. It is truth." The soldiers faltered, weapons lowering. One by one, they stepped back, torn between loyalty and awe. The general struggled up, but even his followers no longer moved to aid him. At last, the king himself rose, voice shaking but firm. "Enough. The princess speaks for the future. The war ends here." The chamber filled with murmurs, disbelief giving way to reluctant agreement. The rebellion fractured, soldiers abandoning the general until he stood alone, defeated. Marcus let out a long breath. "So, did we just win?" Elira turned to him, exhausted but radiant. "We did." Later, as peace negotiations unfolded across both worlds, Marcus found himself standing awkwardly at Elira's side before the people of Elendra. The announcement was made not in whispers, but in full ceremony. The princess had chosen her consort, and together they would raise a child born of two worlds. The crowd roared, half in shock, half in joy. Marcus raised a hand. "Hi. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. And no, humans don't molt. Just clearing that up right now." Laughter rippled through the crowd, breaking tension like glass shattering. Afterward, in the quiet of the gardens where it had all begun, Marcus sat with Elira, staring at the glowing water. "You know, back home, they'll probably court-martial me for this." "Perhaps," she said softly. "But here, you are more than a soldier." He chuckled. "More like an accidental prince. Still not sure how that happened." She rested her hand over his. "Not accident. Choice." Marcus met her eyes, and for once, he didn't joke. "Yeah, choice." The war was over. The secret that had once terrified him was now their strength. He was no longer just a soldier lost in enemy territory. He was a man who had stumbled into something larger than himself: love, peace, a chance at a future no one had dared imagine. He leaned back, watching the alien stars pulse above. "Well," he muttered, "guess I should work on my royal wave." Elira's laugh carried through the night, and for the first time, Marcus believed the universe might finally be done trying to kill him. And in that fragile, improbable peace, two worlds began again. The end.